feet, I suppose. You still stand pretty close to that patch, Shores, don't you?
That's right.
Now, when did you start ploughing first?
Oh, God.
How many years back, roughly?
30 years.
30 years ago?
Oh,
Be probably a bit more than that.
Maybe more than that.
What kind of acreage would you plough in a day behind a team of horses?
Oh, I'd plough about almost 2 acres.
2 acres?
Yeah.
Now, would you be exhausted at the end of that?
Oh, I would not, no. No,
Yeah.
the horses might be a bit tired. You'd never have to jog or anything like that when you'd be at the like of this.
But you would literally have to change a horse or team of horses, would you?
Oh, you would. You would sometimes, yeah.
Has the skill all gone now from that kind of horse ploughing?
The most of it is, yeah.
I've often looked at them when I was younger, and I often wondered how, in fact, a person learns it. Does somebody come out and say, well, what you've got to do is this? But is there a teaching process?
There is a bit of a... You'd want to know something about setting the wheels of a plough and all this and the depth of it, like, you know.
Because what kind of difficulty could you get into?
Oh, sure, you could hit a stone and maybe be knocked out, you know. The handlebars could hit you, you know.
I can imagine, you could get a nasty knock in the ribs.
Stone, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
you said no need to jog or anything in those days. I imagine in those times that people were infinitely fitter.
Oh, they were a lot fitter that time. No one used to take any tablets or anything that time.
At 6'4", would you have been head and shoulders over everybody in the area?
I'd say I would.
Yeah, the reason I ask, you see, there's a school of belief that says we are now breeding smaller men, and that it may have something to do with the flight from the land.
Well, I have a couple of sons much as tall as me now, do you know?
Are they on the 6'4" mark as well?
They are, yeah.
Do you ever get fed up now, for example, when you see that that kind of ploughing, that the skill has gone and it's all motorized and tractorized?
God, it's all sure they're able to do things now with a tractor, you know, in a couple of hours.
Things are much easier for them?
Oh, yeah. But they're not as fit, though.
They're not as fit?
No.
If you had your time over again, would you do it again?
I would be, God. I would, yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Let me move over to Mrs. Murphy. I don't know whether I can physically move or not. I'm going to try anyway. I'll be shoved back if I'm wrong. Mrs. Murphy, you were a teacher.
I was.
And you taught in the area for how long altogether?
43 years.
Now, how different are teaching practices, for example, now from what they were when you started out 43 years ago?
Well, of course, things were very primitive when I started. In fact, your last speaker, Patrick, was one of my first pupils.
One of the first, really?
He was in school when I came in 1928,
Yeah.
and I taught until 1971. That was in the old school where we practice or have our meetings now.
I see. What about things like school heating?
Oh, we had none such a thing as heating or water. We had a small fireplace.
Yeah.
The boys collected sticks in a wood at the back of the school when the girls were at needlework, and we got down on our knees and we blew until we got our fire lighting. And we had no convenience, we had no water, only a pump a few hundred yards down the road. But of course the children weren't allowed to go down the road, so it was very awkward. We got a can full of water in the morning, and that made a cup of tea just for the master. We called the senior teacher that time was the master always. I was the mistress. We were just two of us in the school at the time.
Now, I've heard it said, and I don't want you to get into the indictment business, but I've heard it said that the teachers in those times, in your times, were people who had a definite vocation, and that now very frequently you get people who go into it because it's an outlet of a job. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't know how they feel, but when I was doing it, I lived for my work.
Yeah.
I felt I was happy in school all the time, and we had a very happy atmosphere at the time, even though we had big crowds.
Yeah. You see, I think that I personally think that to have charge of the direction in which a young person is going to go for life is an enormous responsibility, and that you had to have an awful lot of seriousness and integrity about what you were doing. Did you look at it that way?
Well, yes, we had that. Of course, we were trained. I trained in Mary Immaculate in Limerick, and of course that was instilled into us at that time.
Yeah.
That we had to do those things and think of the future of the children.
But then you had much bigger classes in those days.
Oh, we had.
What kind of classes did you teach?
Well, I had infants first and second for up to 1953 until we got our third teacher.
Yeah.
And we hadn't room for her in the small school where we
Yeah.
had just 2 rooms, and they'd booked a little kitchen just below. Well, then the manager at that time insisted we get our new school, and we went into the new school in September 1960. That's the present
1960.
school. And we didn't know ourselves we had such comfort.
Really. Well, thank you for giving us an insight into the times when one small head, what was it, still their wonder grew that one small head could carry all he knew. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And it's time now to hand over to Anne, because this is the point at which she does take over.
Thank you. Well, the first request that I have today, it comes from the group here, and they would like to send good wishes to each of the senior citizens in Courtnacuddy who are not able to travel with them today. But very, very particularly, they want me to send special good wishes to the most senior person from their community, and she is Mrs. Mary Doyle, who's 95 years young and at present a patient in St. John's Hospital in Enniscorthy. And also they want me to say hello to May, Carmel and Mary Buckley, who help out at all their socials. And so now to my own requests. Now the first one is I want to wish a very happy birthday to Mrs. Mary Mulhall of Roskelton in Mount Rathnnish, who's celebrating her 81st birthday this month. And Mary, this request comes with fond love to you from your own daughter, Mary. I've been asked to include this week a very, very special lady, and she is Josie O'Dwyer, who's in St. Clair's ward in St. Patrick's Hospital in Cashel. And best wishes go to you, Josie, from all your friends in Clonmel. And they've asked me to sing this song just to cheer you up a little bit. Birthday greetings now again to Mrs. Sarah Cawley of Massbrook South, Buffinan Post Office in Mayo, and it comes from your daughter Margaret, from Tom, and love too from the Highlands. Nancy O'Connell of Shalee in Nina, she sends birthday wishes to her granddaughter Anne-Marie Ryan in Borrisoleigh, and also to her neighbour Mrs. Margaret Kelly, who is 81, and Nancy wishes you, Margaret, many, many more years of health. And finally, to Hannah Reardon of Parnell Street in Bandon, I'm to wish you a very happy 87th birthday, and you're to have a lovely day. And this request to you comes from all your children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and I'm told that there are 107 in all, but I'm especially to mention Susan and the family. And the song that I've chosen for you this week is The Rose of Mooncoin. Now, unfortunately, I've got a little disappointment for you, and that is because Jim is not with us this week. But there again, I take away with one hand, but I give with another. We've a very, very well-known gentleman. You can see him there, Albert Healy. And Albert, of course, was an old colleague of mine for many, many years. We did a television series here. So, Albert, over to you and The Rose of Mooncoin. How sweet 'tis to roam 'neath the sunny shore stream, and hear the dove coo 'neath the morning sunbeam, where the thrush and the robin their sweet notes entwine on the banks of the shore that flows down by Mooncoin. Flow along, lovely river, flow gently along, by your water so sweet sounds the lark's merry song. On your green banks I'll wander, where first I did join with you, lovely Molly, the rose of Mooncoin. Oh, Molly, dear Molly, it breaks my poor heart to think that we two forever must part. I think of you, Molly, when sun and moon shine on the banks of the shore that flows down by Mooncoin. Flow along, lovely river, flow gently along, by your water so sweet sounds the lark's merry song. On your green banks I'll wander, where first I did join with you, lovely Molly, the rose of Mooncoin. Now here's to the shore with its valleys so fair, where oft times we wandered in the soft morning air, where the thrush and the robin their sweet notes entwine on the banks
of the shore that flows down by Mooncoin. Flow along, lovely river, flow gently along, by your water so sweet, sounds of bugs' merry song. On your green banks of wonder, where first I did join with you, lovely Molly, the rose of Mooncoin.
Lovely song, and the audience in good voice. You may see alongside me here, actually at the right, some of the lovely craft work that has been brought in here by the group of people who've come up from Courtnacuddy. Lovely needlework of all kinds, a fire screen. We may have a chance to take a look at those later on, but it makes me very jealous, actually, in a nice sort of way, because I can hardly hammer a nail without dropping the nail or using words that one isn't supposed to use. A man who has used words fairly well and really to good purpose is sitting there in the second row, and that's Pat Hennessy. He's an author. Pat, nice to see you.
Yes, well, thank you.
Now, you've put together a book, actually, on your area, haven't you?
Yes, I did, yes.
You don't have a copy of it by
I have a copy,
chance?
yes. Here, that's it, yes.
Right now, Davidstown, Courtnacuddy, or Wexford Parish. Where does the Davidstown come in?
Davidstown is the parish, you see. Courtnacuddy is the half parish, the curacy of Davidstown.
I see.
Yes, and so is that it balanced up, you see, I called it the two names. It doesn't mean two parishes, it's all the one parish.
Ah.
But you see, Courtnacuddy is the curacy, the half parish.
Right. Now, is this the first book you ever wrote?
Yeah, the first book I ever wrote. Yes.
I'm not being patronizing when I say, I mean, you're not the youngest author around.
No.
How do you actually start at doing something like that? How did you start?
Well, I always had an interest, you see, in local history at all times, since my school days.
Yeah.
But I never thought of writing anything in them times, you see. And I used to take notes. I used to borrow books from libraries and from local people, you see. And if there's anything interesting, I just write it down, you know. And it kept building up over the years, you see, until I had enough to make a start at the history.
Now, what were you working at in the meantime? What was your job?
Farming.
I see. So you really didn't have all that time to write,
No,
did you?
mostly winter time, evening time and that,
Yeah.
you see. Yeah.
Okay, so from a collection of facts taken from various places, I mean, how did the idea come to put it into book form?
Yeah, well, there were several other people as well, you see, got interested in it too, you see, and they asked me to do this work, you see, as well.
Yeah.
And the people of the parish, the whole parish now, cooperated very well with me in this, supported me everywhere.
You had help right down the line?
I helped right down the line.
Yeah. Has the book gone far and wide?
It has gone far and wide. It's gone to New Zealand, Australia, America.
Has it really?
States, England.
How much does it sell for now?
It sells in the shops for £4.
Yeah. It's a very nice looking production. Can I have a look at it, please?
Yeah, certainly.
On high gloss paper.
Yes.
There's some very fine pictures in it as
well.
well.
The C&R printing and Scotty did a good job on it.
Well, they'll be delighted to get a plug as well.
Yeah,
and you slipped it in just like that, not like that, like that. The one last thing I want to ask you about is just very, very briefly, how long in antiquity, how long back in antiquity has there been a settlement at Courtnacuddy?
The settlement back to pre-Norman times, as a matter of fact, as I mentioned there, of a place of Druidic worship, where the Druids were before the coming of Christianity.
Yeah.
In the place called the Ringwood and Killockham Forest and Bree Hill.
So the evidence is there, I mean, to prove what anybody says about the place.
Yes, that's it.
It must give you a great sense of community and history there, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yes.
Yeah.
It does indeed.
I'm going to borrow this. If I talk to you nice, you might even let me have it. But I'd like to have a look through it.
You can have it. I'll make a present of it.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Now, we've got Johnny Cooper. Where's Johnny? Johnny with us. You're a bit of a singer, and I believe you're going to give us a bit of a song. What are you going to sing for us?
A little old wood cabin on the hill.
A little old wood cabin on the hill. The maestro is ready, and so are we.
Go sell the pig and cow a gra to take you far away. Your poor old parents you must leave behind. Go seek your fortune, darling, in a land beyond the tide. For in Paddy's land but poverty you'll find. And these were the words my father said ere I left old Ireland. His sad farewell keeps in my memory still. So I packed my bundle on my back and left forevermore that little old mud cabin on the hill. The roof was thatched with yellow straw, the walls as white as snow. The turf fire boiled the pots, I see it still. Old Ireland's graven in my heart, the place where I was born, in that little old mud cabin on the hill. I think I see the turf fire, it attracts my father's gaze, my loving mother sitting by his side. His pipe is lit, the smoke ascends, he is thinking on the day that took his darling boy beyond the tide. No more I'll join the merry dance upon the cabin floor, to the music of the bagpipes loud and shrill. No more I'll see the happy scenes I saw in days of yore, in that little old mud cabin on the hill. The roof was thatched with yellow straw, and the walls as white as snow. The turf fire boiled the pots, I see it still. Old Ireland's graven in my heart, the place where I was born, in that little old mud cabin on the hill.
Well done indeed, Johnny Cooper. And by the badge that he's wearing, I would think that not a touch of the demon drink has ever crossed his lips, certainly for the last 25, possibly 50 years. Doesn't it warm the cockles of your heart, though? We've got something else that visually will warm the cockles of the eyes, or whatever it is, seeing a half-set dance. We've got Liam up there who's got an accordion. So I wonder if the dancers would kindly take the floor. And as you do, perhaps, are you coming up to dance your half-set? Who's going to do it? Right, okay. And Liam, you take it away, and I'll say goodbye from Looking Good until the next time we're with you. So down in Courtnacuddy, wherever you are, goodbye, and thank you very much indeed.